Where do you draw the line between violence and just plain old fighting? What makes an anime fight scene good, right? It's a big compliment for someone to pay to see what you made. Not to pay to see what your boss or your company made or your client made, what you've tried to express. That's when I decided the dream is not just becoming a full-time animator, it's becoming an independent full-time animator. For one of the day's themes was Ghost, right? And I just didn't draw anything. That was my product.
Welcome back to the Animator Guild podcast. Michael Moy is an independent animation producer from Northern Virginia. He has been a force for innovation in stick figure animation and in the internet animation community. Many people know him for his recognizable original character Gildedguy. His animations are incredibly popular with over 70 million collective views on YouTube. He regularly live streams his animation progress on Twitch. And in this interview, I found out a lot about his origins, his inspirations, and his creative process. So please enjoy my conversation with Michael Moy, aka Gildedguy. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. So, Michael, aka Gildedguy, thank you so much for coming on to the Animator Guild podcast. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to actually talk with Mr. Animator Guild himself
Mr.
about
Animator
animation.
Guild.
No, I listen to the podcast a lot.
You do listen to the podcast?
Every single episode.
Oh, really? That's amazing. Yeah, because we've known each other quite a while, haven't we? Or we've at least been aware of each other for a long time.
Yeah, we've been in each other's orbits, I would say.
Yeah.
For a couple of years. I saw your stuff on Newgrounds.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so that's pretty far back.
That is far back.
Think about it. Yeah.
And I think I might have seen yours on Newgrounds as well.
Yeah, I still post there, so.
That's good, yeah.
It's a good website still.
It's still good, yeah. This is a good opportunity for me to introduce you to my subscribers, even though I think we have a lot of overlap. I've seen on many of my animations, people are saying, hey, what do you think of Gildedguy? Like, Gildedguy's animations are really good, right? And I'm like, Gildedguy is my boy. Okay, I know Gildedguy, yes, and I love his animations. Yeah.
Similarly on my end, whenever someone's asking me like animation tutorial questions, it's like, I'll just recommend one of Howard's videos, and he'll cover it. Since you put a lot of clarity into that, and a lot of the questions people have, you answer them. So
yeah, I have that kind of thing where if too many people ask me the question, I'll just make a YouTube video about it and just be like there, and then I just send them the link from then on.
Right.
I want to get into your backstory a little bit because I think it's fascinating the kind of stuff you're making nowadays, and I just want to work backwards in the timeline and figure out how did you get to this point in time where you've become this animator that a lot of new young animators are looking up to and are hoping maybe one day I'll get to where Gildedguy is. So how did you first get involved in animation?
Man, that's a question going way back because animation, I think everybody's kind of like interested in art as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, when you go to school, you got the art class, and for me, that was like the highlight of the week. It was like math, science, all the other subjects were boring in comparison to art. Because art is something you can like take home and you can work on your own. Yeah. So animation was, I think, something to stave off boredom in class. Flip books, And I think that was the main thing from middle school was you want to show off to your friends like something, some people show off their gaming skills, some show off their like athletic skills. For me, it was showing off my flip books to my friends.
Right, yeah.
And even back then, it was stick fights. That's like the one thing everybody always animates in a flip book. It's always a stick man doing something.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into animation and just understanding framing and timing and stuff. It was just always just trying to impress my friends with like flip books. And I guess that kind of escalated when I, got into college. It's like, oh, now I know, programs and stuff. why do it on paper when I can just do it on the computer? And I think that's where it really got started, was just showing cool animation to your friends, emulating cartoons that you've seen. Yeah.
So when did you become aware that there was a world of animation that was more than just flip books in the corner of, say, your maths book or your English book?
Definitely when, internet came along.
Oh,
because
right.
I grew up when like dial-up internet was getting big and stuff, right?
Oh, wow.
Neopets,
At the dawn of it, yeah.
Yeah. Like RuneScape coming out, multiplayer stuff.
Love me some RuneScape, yeah.
That's part of the origin of my name, is from RuneScape.
Oh, right, like the Gilded Armour.
Right. Yeah.
It had like Rune Gilded.
We can get into that a little bit.
I used to be a huge RuneScape nerd, so I would actually love to get into that.
Same, because I have fond memories and bad memories of RuneScape. Losing all your items, no fun. No fun. I still get nightmares about dying in RuneScape. It's hilarious. But just relating back to like my online avatar of Gildedguy.
Yeah.
The Gilded Armor, as you mentioned. I always like picking the most unique, flashy armor set. You don't really see it very often, people walking around in full gilded. So that was my target in RuneScape.
It was a real status thing in RuneScape. I mean, it was fully gilded armor, just like your character, just fully gold. And to see someone walking around like that, it is a real status thing. But that's interesting to me, because you said with the kind of who is Gildedguy as a character, you said he doesn't wear the gilded armor to show off, but he wears gold because it's a beautiful color and he wants everyone to see that. And yeah, that was like a really nice little a different way of thinking about gold, because I never think of that, but it's so true that gold is just this really amazing color.
Indeed. It's not even just a color, it's also like a luminosity, it's a luster, it's a shine.
It has that certain shine to it, yeah.
So it's not merely just like decoration. I think it also has like, just going scientifically, material properties of gold makes it valuable.
Yeah.
So I think there's something, kind of cool about that element.
Yeah. It's been like a storage of wealth for thousands and thousands of years as well, because of its unique properties. So I've seen many scenes in your animations where it's like raining gold coins and things. So it's recurring not only in the armor, I guess, but in just as a theme in many of your animations. Yeah,
I think for me, you notice a lot in like stick fight stuff.
Yeah.
Whenever someone creates a character, they tend to pick like an element. Like, oh, my guy is a wind fighter. Oh, my guy can shoot electricity. My guy can like have fire nunchucks. So for me, I had to pick an element, and it would be appropriate if I just modeled it after my my avatar, which is like a gold guy. So everything I do tries to, I'm trying to use gold and play around with all the materials of gold thematically, physically, and visually, as just a way to express what I think is cool about gold.
Yeah, that's really awesome, because I guess picking a direction in any of those themes or subjects or elements can lead to some interesting discoveries, because you can go deep on that one thing more than anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Choosing gold, I think that's both unique and that you've gone into it in a lot of depth. So I think that's great.
Absolutely.
So as I understand it, you went from being a part-time animator, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm a bit hazy on this, but you were doing full-time work for the government, and I'm imagining it was something in the realm of software development.
Right. It was, I was not working directly for the government. I worked for a company, a private company, that was under contract for the government.
Okay, and yeah.
It's a software development job. It's very common around here, around Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So that's the capital of the U.S. So, you got a lot of government jobs and contracts going around here.
Yeah. And so, thanks for clarifying that. And so you in more recent years, are now a full-time animator. And so being a full-time animator, that's something that, from talking with animation students, that's something that a lot of people aspire to become. More than just being a full-time animator, you're actually creating your own original content full-time. And that narrows the population even smaller to people who have managed to build a system to make that happen. I want to know how you made that transition to being a full-time animator, creating your own animated original content, and maybe some milestones along the way that marked that transition.
Sure. As far as looking back at it, I can say that's been really gradual. So I think the first part of, transitioning from being a hobbyist animator to becoming a full-time animator is really deciding early on, do you want to work for somebody else or do you want to do your own stuff? It's like, what about exactly animating do you enjoy doing? For me, I didn't know exactly in the beginning. Some people really enjoy just the animating part, like pumping out frames, doing the line work. And those people tend to be recruited and become like really talented at the draftsmanship,
Yeah.
For me, I thought about it really hard because my career path, as you said, was software development, just become a programmer, stable job. But in the back of my mind, I was like, why is this not satisfying? I'm good at it, right? So when it comes to art, I found something that I really enjoy doing was, and it's kind of hard to articulate, but it's kind of just sharing what I find is beautiful, right, to other people. Kind of like wowing, like, oh wow, it's so awesome, right? I like that feeling. So it's not particularly like the animating part. It's just creating art in general. So that's when I decided, it's about, the dream is not just becoming a full-time animator, it's becoming an independent full-time animator. So if you decide something like that very early on, the advice for switching from hobbyist to getting into the industry is really different because there's no roadmap for becoming an independent animator. It's untrodden forest. You have to carve your own path in a way. For me, I dabbled in freelance art. So that's not a very high time commitment. It's not a lot of money, but you have a lot of flexibility. So I used to do a lot of game animation for Flash game websites like board.com. It's just got a lot of violent stick stuff, stuff that I personally am not
right.
I like too much, but it was like bloody stick man stuff. But it was like, it got me used to working with a programmer and taking direction. It's like, do I like doing freelance work? It's good money and I can show off my skills, but it's not particularly fulfilling like when you're working on your own stuff. So that further cemented that, trying to go into the industry, it would be the same way. I'd be working on other people's ideas. So I think that's a big part of it,
Yeah.
Just deciding.
Right.
Indie or industry.
Yeah, because I know what you mean when you see certain people who are they're really magnified in close at a specific technical aspect of animation, which is, like you said, drawing the frames, getting the timing and spacing just perfect. And they can apply that to anything. And I think perhaps between you and me, by comparison, I'd say I have certain aspects of that. I'm happy to bring my enthusiasm for the technical details to a client project, which is why I do a fair bit of freelancing, although it's now a bit of a balance of freelancing and independent works. But
right.
Yeah, for you seem to be guided by a certain vision that you have for the overall animation. And I just want to touch on one thing you said, because you said you weren't that happy doing these very bloody stickman animations. And I know that combat plays a large role in the Gildedguy animated universe, I suppose.
Yeah.
So just really quick, I'm just interested on how you've navigated that. Are there any rules that your characters follow when it comes to violence? Have you created boundaries which they don't cross when it comes to violence?
Oh, that's a good question, and I have thought about this. Because it's like, where do you draw the line between violence and, just plain old fighting?
Yeah.
I think there's been a couple of videos on YouTube about like, what makes an anime fight scene good, right? And it's something I've noticed between like, what makes like a fight scene really awesome versus it's just flashy choreography.
Yeah.
And I think the difference is there's like a meaningfulness behind like the punches and the kicks. There's like strategy going on.
Yeah.
For me, I don't like it when I see just plain old violence for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems like a waste of like, first of all, animation time. You're trying. I think the point of animation is to tell a story.
Yeah.
So just pointless fighting. It's like a really fun spectacle to watch, but for me, I don't enjoy like animating that just for its own sake. Though I completely respect, the technical choreography that goes into that. That could be a joy in of itself. I think the line is drawn as you can depict blood and like violence, but you need to kind of be mindful of how much suffering you're depicting. So a person who's like in deep suffering, that can be kind of hard to stomach. Whereas, somebody like, is bleeding and they're like smiling through it, it's like, that doesn't seem so bad. So,
yeah.
I think that's where the line is drawn. It's like how much suffering you're depicting.
Yeah. It's fighting, I guess the interesting thing about the fighting is like there's two different directions it goes in. There's the suffering that can be caused from fighting, but also fighting is a form of play. Like if you watch young kids with foam swords, they're having a great time playing because it is a form of game, I suppose.
Oh, right.
So I think I feel more the latter when I watch your animations. I feel like while there is suffering and there is like they'll be really heated at times, they'll be angry and stuff, but it's still a lot of the time it feels a lot like it's playful, and maybe that's the get down to the choreography style or something, or the color choice, the stories, I don't know, but yeah, it's interesting how diverse it can be.
Almost like dancing sometimes, right?
Yeah, like dancing. I guess, like for me, one of my early influences, films I really enjoy are like Jackie Chan films.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of different figures in the Kung Fu world people take influence from. And Jackie Chan always had that very playful, comedic form of combat, which it's always not taking itself too seriously. It's got those serious moments, but a lot of the time it goes back to that playfulness with it.
It's like the perfect balance between cool and fun.
Yeah.
I think Jackie Chan nailed that big time.
Yeah. So you've released quite a few fights recently in recent times, and you say that it's got to be motivated, like the combat has to be motivated, or whatever kind of spectacle is going on has to have story behind it. So what does your process look like for coming up with an idea? And then once you've come up with an idea, how do you grow that idea to the full size?
That's a good question, because I have I'm sure like a lot of creative people is like, you just have a ton of ideas and you wish you could just execute them all in like 1 year and just like make your giant portfolio and just share with everybody these awesome ideas you have in your head. I'm the same way, but I tend to just whenever I have an idea, I write it down on a Trello board. Trello is like a task management software. You're nodding your head. It's like
I use
sure
it.
Yeah.
It's like a virtual
so
cork board. I think that's how they describe it. But I use mine not for ideas so much, but just for stuff I need to do, like a massive to-do list. But I might start using it like that, yeah.
Well, I treat my animations like a massive to-do list, all my ideas. So it's not I'm gonna do it right now. It's I'll get to it eventually. And I've had ideas that sit in my Trello for years and years. And when the time comes, like a musician says, "Oh, you're okay to use this song for this idea." It's like, "Oh, time to pluck it off the Trello board. Now's the time." And so I have this like backlog of potential ideas, and I'm constantly like kind of adding little details as I come up to them with them. Ideas in the shower, right? Oh, this would be a really great moment for story number 9, at this point. So I'll just go to the Trello board, add that little detail, and I've contributed to the story. And maybe a couple years from now, when I work on the 9th installment, the story's all there from all the years of, adding little things. So it's not like I come up with an idea and then it's time to write the story, sit down and do it. I already have the stories written down in my backlog.
Right, yeah. And is this a very personal process? Do you keep this to yourself, or is there anyone who you bring in to this to consult for ideas?
It's pretty personal, I'd say. I mean, I'm pretty coveted over my ideas.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I don't think anybody else is really interested in like hearing my ideas, like when they haven't been, fully formulated. It's like I have so many weird ideas, and I'm sure everybody has their own great ideas. So it's largely just me and just a bucket full of crazy ideas.
Yeah, I wonder if the idea would actually work if someone wasn't able to see it. I feel like a lot of the animation ideas, you got to see them to really get them to understand them.
Yeah, true.
If you just describe them with words, it could sound really random, I guess.
Absolutely. Like my cowboy story, about, going up into the heavens of like riches and like being envious and stuff. It's like, people are like, okay, Michael, you just had a bad day, It's like, you're just like venting about your emotions right now. It's like, no, it's a big story, It's like, it's hard to pitch something when it's just an idea form. So best to just keep it under lock and key and then bring it out when it's time.
And surprise everyone when you do make it. And then they all say, oh, wow, this is what's been going on in Michael's head this whole time.
Right.
Well, one of the things I did from a little bit of research that I did is on your Patreon page, which I will link to people who are watching this. On your Patreon page, I can look back at the goals you've met, a monthly funding amount. So there were different goals. There's goals like being able to cover software costs.
Paying team members.
Spending more time on larger projects that could last longer, things like that. And so you've been able to reach these goals one by one by growing this Patreon and by growing your audience. And now you're at a point where you're bringing in extra people to work on things like coloring, cleanup, and backgrounds, which is great. Congratulations, that's really cool. I wondered if you could talk about what it's been like to scale up a team like this and to make these animations a team production now instead of an individual production like they used to be.
Well, this relates back to a video that you made on Animator Guild talking about, building a virtual studio kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it might have not been the same video, but even in another video you talked about, whenever you're doing, like, trying to recruit people, you have to be able to do every job before, trying to outsource it to anybody else. Yeah. So that was the first step. Was I could have just kept on making my animations all by myself because, I only had myself at the time.
Yeah, of course.
But over time, you kind of figure out how to outsource certain, areas of the animation. So the first thing for me to outsource was inking, just filling in the colors. That's just pretty time consuming, but I'm sure, most artists can fill between the lines. Yeah. So that was like the first job that I kind of outsourced. This is inking.
That's the kind of thing where if a completely different artist with a different drawing style did that inking, it wouldn't be discernible from your own
Right. Exactly.
inking. Yeah.
And then over time, you try to learn to, let go of the wheel and let other people take over on some of the more creative aspects, some more line work. My most recent animation, which is my like origin story animation, I let everybody do the backgrounds.
Right.
Traditionally, I would just draw all the backgrounds myself and have other people ink it and pretty it up. But I kind of just only did the layouts, and now they're just rendering the backgrounds completely.
Oh,
and
right.
at first, it's kind of scary because it's like, oh, I don't know if I can trust my baby. Put my baby in your hands, and you're gonna dress them. But they did an awesome job. Box Cat and Great Bonkulus and Soapy Cat. They worked on the backgrounds, and it's just better than I can render my backgrounds. So that's the awesome part about teamwork, is that your weaknesses get covered by other people's strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one big reason to try to work towards having a team.
And how did you get in contact with your collaborators?
Oh, right. I think first it starts off always as like community friends, people who comment on your videos, you see their work. It really is kind of like just you work with people you trust.
Yeah.
And see. I didn't go out and do a recruitment call. I just recruited people who I saw are great artists and would probably have the free time and would accept, whatever pay like my budget to work on it. It's like a natural fit almost. It's like almost more like a collab than straight recruitment kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I asked that because, scaling up, like when you say about trusting your baby with someone else, I can totally relate to that, and that's something that I've definitely struggled with that in the past, of like handing over the controls, especially when it comes to something where, which has more of a risk of changing the results.
Yeah, these animations, they're not just like, oh, go do my groceries, and come back with my groceries. This is like, my passion here, right?
Yeah.
So of course it's gonna be very difficult to let go of something like that, but it's worth it in the end.
So earlier you mentioned that one of the things that would cause you to pick up an animation idea would be if the music rights were if you were given the green light on a certain track to be able to use it. And music tends to play quite a large role in your films, I seem to think. Yeah. And sometimes it even dictates the pace, like the characters are almost dancing or they're stepping to the beat of the music. That means that music is a really important part of the whole thing.
It is, yeah.
And so what's your process like for choosing music in your animations?
Similar to, recruiting like the people who work on my team. It's music I like to listen to. It's just it's all from my Spotify playlist and people requesting the music on my stream. It's just songs that I can't get out of my head, catchy music, and when you get a song in your head, I don't know about you, but for me, I start to come up with like a story, for like the three parts of, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus, verse, right? It's like, oh, that's like a natural story progression in my head. So I'm just imagining Gildedguy doing all these cool things. So once again, I have a backlog of songs that I think would be appropriate for like future animations. I tend to pick musicians and bands that are independent like me. For one thing, it's just unique. Other people haven't heard it, so that makes it for a fresher animation watch. And the second thing is they're a lot easier to get in contact with than big record labels, right? So you can clear the rights a lot easier with independent bands. Yeah,
like their email will actually, with like an independent band, a lot of the time the email will be answered by one of the band members instead of like a management company or a producer or a record label.
Yeah, that's really nice to have like direct contact with the musicians, because then you can also communicate with them like what restrictions that you can put on the animation, because they might have preferences about your work that, oh, you can't have depict certain things or not. It's more of like a direct collaboration. It's like you're dealing with people, not just policies and rules and laws.
Yeah. So you've recently come out with an animation, and not just any old animation. It's like a big animation. Like, it's got to be around 10 minutes, would you say? I can't remember the exact.
Yeah, it's about 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's about 10 minutes of really high quality, fully rendered animation, which is super impressive. I look at that and I think, wow, like, that would take me a lot longer than how long you've been spending on it. So I see you as being like a machine when it comes to this animation production. Do you have any tips on productivity and staying on track with your idea?
Tips on being a robot.
Yeah,
right?
How do you become a robot? I would like to.
Well, for one thing, having team members really helps. Having a pipeline that you can like agree on in the beginning with everybody.
Yeah.
Definitely speeds up the process. Maybe by multitudes, right? I think having with the way I do animation, with the whole backlog idea, like it's all already kind of set in a way. So some of the biggest hurdles of animation is revisions, right?
Right.
Like, oh, this didn't really work out. When I animated this scene, I imagined it different in my head.
Yeah.
And then now I'm like 3 months in and I have to change a major plot point. I think what's really useful is to have a really solid story in animatic, set in stone, and you're just confident about it. It's like you don't really got to change it.
Yeah.
But also leaving the final third of the animation kind of open up to interpretation.
Right.
So the first two-thirds of the animation production, you're kind of working on hitting your stride.
Yeah.
You're just getting used to the new animation style that you're doing, the character models. You just get used to, the pipeline. But in that last third, you give yourself the flexibility to address those, sudden weird turns in the story. That model has really helped me in staying consistent throughout my 8 to 9 month production timelines.
Yeah, that's a long time. And do you find psychologically, there's a dip during that 8 to 9 months where you haven't put something out in quite a long time, and you're feeling like the urge to post something, or post it early, or try something new? Are those thoughts that cross your mind?
I used to have that itch, just like the content bug. I just want to pump something out for my viewers to enjoy. I feel like they're not like getting the values worth out of my channel. Why would they stay subscribed, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Over time, people have just some of the most encouraging words you can hear from a viewer of your work is like, that was worth the wait.
Yeah.
And when I keep that in mind, it's like, okay, I can breathe a little bit. I don't have to worry about pumping out, a work in progress, or, a funny animation on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah.
I can just head down and work on the main thing, because the people who really care about it, they're willing to wait. And that's very motivating in a way.
Yeah. So you've been able to kind of manage these competing desires or competing distractions when it comes to the animation, because that is like a long time, 9 months to be focused on something.
What also helps is streaming the work daily,
right.
or at least once a week, just showing people that you're working on it. That kind of staves off that guilt of like, oh, I haven't made something. It's like, no, I am working on it.
I guess the streaming is content.
Yeah. And it almost becomes more important than the end result sometimes. Because when you're streaming, you're kind of just focused on the process.
Yeah.
And even if your animation turned out ugly that day, you can say to yourself, well, at least people got to watch the process of animation. And that really kind of makes you feel like, oh, I was fruitful for the day. And that makes you want to animate the next day and the next day. So I think streaming has really helped me.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of the questions I had prepared, and we've gone straight into it. So this is great. So I'm interested in how you live stream so much of your process, and some of the benefits of your live stream process. For people who don't know, you have a very sophisticated live stream setup when it comes to the overlay and just the format and how thorough the whole thing is.
Yeah, that's been a project in of itself.
I want to get into that. Because you spent 5 years, was it, creating this overlay? Well, perfecting this overlay.
Yeah, it's kind of just been like, it was like a pet project. My background is computer science, and one of my dreams is to like publish a big video game, right? So when I was younger, discovering Flash, Adobe Flash, the big thing was Flash games. Yeah, so I made dozens and dozens of action script stuff. Just dozens and dozens of Flash games that I never finished.
Yeah.
And I only showed it to friends and stuff, so I didn't really publish it. So now that I'm like animating and trying to like show people some content, the behind the scenes, animation is not very, very interesting to watch by itself.
Right.
You stream sometimes as well.
I tried it for a while. I've abandoned streaming. I don't like streaming anymore.
Well, if you can find out a way to make it like maybe just like something to chill and relax and watch, right? That was the goal of my stream. And over time, that overlay thing with all the flashy pop-ups and stuff, it was just another way to just kind of, for one thing, it's fun to animate those alerts.
Yeah.
Because when you make it a Flash game, like Flash alert, you don't have to worry about like the Streamlabs generic, text box pops up. Oh, this person followed.
Yeah.
With animation and Flash, you can make a dragon pop up, like and have the name on fire and have all this interactivity stuff. So that scratched my coding itch, while also scratching my animation itch.
Right.
So it was like a natural marriage between, my two passions. And all at the same time, I can focus on streaming animation of the main project. So it all kind of fits together for me. It was just a way to express myself while also entertaining the audience at the same time.
I suppose it is like gamification in a way. It's gamifying the experience of your Twitch viewers interacting with your stream in some way, whether it's by following or subscribing or donating or any of the different activities they can do. So in a way, it is like a little game. It's a bit like a slot machine or something. Like, I don't know if it's like a slot machine, but
I mean, we do have that like giveaway roulette and raffles. So funny you mentioned slot machine. One of the inspirations for the big, bombastic raffle and mini games that I have on my stream were Japanese slot machines.
All right.
And I'm not sure if you've seen videos of it, but it's insane the kind of graphics they put into the displays. It's not a simple like 3 slots flying down. It's like a full-on CGI movie they throw into these slot machines, and then like it's just over the top. It's like anime in a slot machine. And
I'll have to check.
I just thought that was awesome. Yeah, it's just hilariously entertaining to watch these slots.
Okay, that's gonna be my next procrastination session. Is going to be watching that. And
oh no.
Figuring that out. No, it's all right.
No, it'll be fun. No, it's worth checking out.
I can pass it off as like animation research, so it's fine.
Okay.
With the streaming process, I'm just interested in like if there's like a major twist that happens in your animation, do you ever not stream that so that it doesn't spoil the surprise?
Good question. Sometimes, I think early on I was more concerned about spoilers and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So I would like label the streams like big spoilers, like don't watch if you care and stuff. And I still kind of do that. And even like the biggest spoiler stuff, I just wouldn't show it. I'll just skip that stream and just work on a different scene.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to just kind of let go of that spoiler mindset and just leave it to the viewers. Really,
Right.
they're aware. If the title says working on this animation, I think I can trust the viewers to be like, okay, if I care enough about the story, I just won't watch the stream.
Yeah.
And I'll just leave it to the viewer to make that decision.
Yeah.
There was also a video I saw that claimed that knowing the spoilers of a movie didn't affect your enjoyment of it. And like somehow they did some kind of survey and found like it didn't really have much of an effect on viewers if they knew what was going to come along, right? But in my mind, I think it's still like you should still have spoiler warnings, and it's something that you don't want to make a decision for other people. It's like
yeah.
So I definitely just tag my streams with spoiler tags.
Yeah, I suppose like with most of the animation process, you're seeing it bit by bit. You're seeing it like frame by frame. So if you're drawing a hand in the third act after the spoiler, well, someone who's just dropping in probably won't have that story spoiled.
Yeah, you need the context.
Yeah, like that. You need the context to actually understand where they are in the story. So I think it's actually it would be very rare for someone to jump in on a stream and accidentally see a spoiler that actually spoils the whole story for them.
That's a good point. Unless they're really digging for the story, they won't be spoiled. They're going to be spoiling themselves, and they want to learn more. So, and some people get enjoyment about like digging into the story and trying to chew every last morsel out. So I leave it to them. When an animation is played all together, that's what makes it awesome. It's not the very individual drawings. It's all together once played back.
That kind of reminds me of when animation is seen on a frame-by-frame basis, and people could like criticize an animation frame, but it's the whole thing that counts. Like, it's only when you put all the frames together that you really see the intended effect.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's very beautiful about animation is it's not the particular like pictures. It's how something moves. That's what animation is, right? It's the illusion of life, and it's not just a singular frame. That Naruto smear frame comes to mind.
That is it's such an infamous frame, but it's like
so bizarre looking, but
it's a real divider among people because I mean, I know which side I'm on, which is like that's good animation when they break the pose. Like it's one of the principles of animation. But there are people who will see that frame and be like, "You see, it's bad animation." It's like, oh,
it's like you could pick a better example than a smear frame. And like one of what was that from the context isn't that important, but It was a cool fight sequence when you watch it all together. Yeah.
Do you ever get a criticism like that? Would you ever... I don't suppose you'd pay much attention if someone said that, but...
I don't... Actually, I'm pretty fortunate. I don't think people really, like, criticize my animations too harshly.
You've got a good crowd that watches your animations,
they're very kind.
Yeah. Would you say that you have almost like a cult viewership? Not in like the sense of like wearing masks and hoods and stuff, but more like there's like a fandom around your content, would you say?
Yeah. The root of the word fan is like fanatic, right? So
right, yeah.
The cult thing is not too far off. I hope it doesn't become like too crazy of a fandom. I would like people to just watch the animations, enjoy it, and then move on with their lives.
Right.
I think that's the ideal situation, the purpose of art. I don't want to be stringing people along and making something that lasts forever or anything like that. So
you want it to be like supplemental, like they go and they watch and appreciate a lot of different things as well as yours.
Yeah, it can't be this. I don't want my stuff to be the sole focus.
Right.
Your entertainment needs.
Right. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I guess I can think of a lot of cult fandoms which are great. I mean, I don't see it as like such a bad thing. You know, Pokemon is like a real big cult fandom.
You're right, and it connects people for sure.
Speaking of which, I mean, you have badges, you have keychains, you've been branching out into these different types of merch. I'm not sure what else you've got stickers, right?
Right. I tried some coconut T-shirts a long time ago. I didn't really like them too much, but I think sticking to stickers and keychains is what I've been doing. Yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering if you could if you were going to try something along the lines of Pokemon, like trading cards or something. Collectibles are really big nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, I have card stuff cooking up.
Oh, right. Did I just call it?
Good call.
That was a good call.
Really, it's I think what's cool about, merch and like just small light pieces of merchandise is that you can fit a lot of art on them, but they're very light to like ship and stuff.
Right.
I think with like keychains, it was like one keychain side had one piece of art, and on the other side had a different piece of art, and then you have the card backing, which has some art, and then another on the back of that card you can put art on it. Right. So my approach to merchandise is, how much art can I just fit? How much graphics can I just fit onto this thing, and then ship it to the person?
Yeah.
Because I think that's where the value of merchandise comes.
You want to pack it with so much value.
Yeah, you just want to make it dense. I even make the envelopes like different color. I put a thank you card inside.
That's cool.
In my mind, I think that's what makes merch worth it, when it's just jam packed full of pretty things.
Especially merch that comes from an independent creator like you. The people who get that kind of merch, they are people who really care about you, I think, and people who want to firstly support what you're doing and what you're providing, but also there's that personal connection with it. And when you put those kind of things in, I think that really, it makes a difference to that person. Yeah. I try to make it personal. The merch is like, I just try to make it one big like thank you card. So because that's what it is. It's not just the value of the merch. It's also a big thanks. It's a big compliment for someone to pay to see what you made. Not to pay to see what your boss or your company made or your client made. It's like what you've tried to express. So it's something that I'll always be grateful for. Yeah. You recently reached a big milestone of 500,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Do you find that overwhelming?
Nice. I mean, the channel was headed that way. I think the bigger thing was just the Fortnite integration. But yeah, 500,000 subscribers. That's a lot of people. Yeah, I don't know. So
with the Fortnite integration, that was like a really, well, I say legitimate company, but it's not really fair to say that. But
I know what you mean. Yeah, legit.
It's a huge mainstream endorsement.
Yeah. Yeah, it still kind of boggles my mind. Yeah.
How did that come about?
It was like, I was working on the animation, right? It was done, right? I was ready to release it like normal. I had everything set up. And then right after I put out the trailer, like hyping people up, it's going to come out at the end of March, I get this like ominous email from an Epic employee.
Wow.
And it's like one line that says like, Michael, at Epic, you have fans. Call us. And like, it was, like then signature. I was like, okay, for one thing, this might be a scam. But I googled the name. I was like, okay, this is legit. I had better call back immediately. And it was just that. It was like there was a fan. Actually, the son of the higher up was a big fan of my animations, and I guess there was like a natural opportunity for the collaboration to occur for Fortnite. So it kind of just fell out of the sky because of that one fan.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. It's like, yeah, people at these big companies, watch YouTube, and
Yeah.
and they'll just reach out sometimes. So that's just amazing. What have some of the have you seen many benefits from that recently? Like, how's it impacted your channel and the way people perceive your animations and what you do?
Well, I'm not sure how I can say how it's changed perception, but numbers wise, it's been quite a boost.
Oh, nice.
Big signal boost for sure. Yeah, I was surprised they like kind of made Gildedguy the headliner. Like, he plastered Gildedguy's face on all of the advertising. So for sure that drove a lot of traffic to my channel. And yeah, it's been like multitudes of more traffic than normal. So I think this was pretty good, pretty good for the channel.
Yeah.
I can't complain.
So I got a couple of concluding questions. With your animations, if we tie them all together, I've talked about I've noticed themes and kind of stylistic things, but what would you say is what is the overall goal of your body of work in animation? What motivates you to keep making?
Well, I think for one thing, I think it's obvious by now, like Gildedguy is my way of expressing myself. So he's my OC, original character, do not steal, please. So if you kind of just watch along the animations, you'll see that, the green star represents something important to me, but it's also kind of mysterious. And that's on purpose because I am not entirely sure what my ultimate goal or my ultimate destiny is going to be through this animation thing. But I know it's there. So I know the general direction. So I'm just trying to make animations that are better than the last and hopefully results in something cathartic that I can look back and say is like, okay, I'm glad I did that. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's a motivation or what, but that's just how I feel about, my green star in a way.
Yeah. Would you say that the animations kind of resemble struggles or things that you're going through in your life?
Oh, for sure. I do keep a journal, so I'm always like reflecting on, memories and stuff. And sometimes writing in a journal is not enough, right? You kind of want to share. If there's this weird thing with artists, I feel it's like we want to we want people to know about us, but we want to keep it secret. So we kind of express it in these weird ways.
Yeah.
So it's like we're always like hinting at, this is what I'm going through, but I'm not going to tell you straight up. Animation is kind of like my hinting of, what I'm going through. But I want you to really feel like if you were there. So I would say, yeah, definitely my past and, my experiences inspire my animations.
Yeah, I mean, I've already probed into this quite a lot. I managed to predict the trading cards, which I'm pretty happy that I called that one. Yeah, like what else would you say lies ahead for Gildedguy and his animated universe? Would you say, like, I don't know, a feature film on the horizon or more episodes? Feature films, that's a big one. I wouldn't force you to commit to saying that, but
yeah, that's like, oh, are you planning on going to the moon?
Yeah.
Like sometime in your future? It's like, I mean, maybe it's possible, but nah, it's like that's not in the cards. No, I'm just trying to focus on the next animation. Just take it one project at a time. I think that approach is kind of the way to go. I don't try to think too far ahead.
Yeah. And have you seen any good movies lately?
In theaters or just in general?
Just in general. Yeah, I mean, none of us have really had the chance to go to many theaters.
I mean, the last movie I saw in theaters was Tenet.
Oh, right.
Christopher Nolan. Do you like Christopher Nolan?
I do. I'm
like
a big Christopher Nolan fan. Yeah.
Dark Knight.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Nolan fan. This is I could watch his movies over and over and over and just keep on digging into the meaning and get inspired by the music. Yeah.
I know what you mean. Like, I think he's probably my favorite active filmmaker today, or one of my favorite active filmmakers. Actually, I don't know if I can say that. There's so many good ones.
Yeah, a lot of favorites.
He's up there. And he's got so many films in like the top 100 films. It's pretty amazing.
What I admire about Nolan is that he's always trying to change it up. It's like it seems like he's like trying to challenge himself.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I respect that a lot.
Yeah, like Tenet, I think was lost on a lot of people, but it was trying to. It was pushing. You could see how he was pushing himself. He could have gone with a sensible film. Like many people have kind of done re-edits and rewritings of Tenet and how it could be more approachable and more easy to understand, but they're all trying to make Tenet like an ordinary film, you know?
Like stuff that's already been done that works, but it seems like he's trying to push for like something really unique, and I find that inspiring. Like the attempt at doing something new. It's really cool to see it like on the big screen. Yeah. Not just, on the small screen or, through smaller projects. Speaking of Jackie Chan, I recently saw Rumble in the Bronx.
Oh, I've seen that. That's a good one.
That movie's pretty nutty, yeah. Just seeing Jackie Chan like break himself against everything, against people, against cars, against, boats and stuff. It's really entertaining.
I remember that one being a bit more hardcore than some of his other ones, but they're all. Was that the one that ends with him jumping off a bridge?
I don't think it ends that way. I think it. Oh wait, no. In the third act, he just jumps off a bridge onto like a boat or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just action movies. I love watching those. Yeah. Good inspiration for animation and fights.
What about animation inspirations? Is there any animators you've got your eye on? Anyone obscure or not obscure?
No, obscure. Not really. I tend to just stick to rewatching animations that I already love. Right.
Oh, okay.
Whether that's internet animations or like animated movies.
Right.
As far as internet animations go, Adam Phillips has always been my favorite animator.
He was one of my early inspirations. Yeah, incredible. He really led the way on digital independent animations as well. Like he led the way on Flash and then later on Toon Boom as well with his Brackenwood series.
Yeah, I could watch the Yu like hundreds of times.
Oh yeah.
It's just awesome. So.
Now you've said it, I can see that as being like potentially big inspiration for some of the effects animation scenes you've been doing.
Yeah. Adam, I think, worked as an FX animator.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so that was his forte. But he can also do backgrounds and also do character stuff. I admire that a lot.
Yeah, I think he probably was trained, like Disney trained for the effects animation, and that was his specialty in Disney. But I think then he taught himself all the other things, and he's insanely skilled at just everything really. And he did that challenge of like, it was something crazy like 100 short films in 100 days or something like that, where he just made a new little short film every day or something. It was just crazy.
Yeah, someday I'll attempt just an animation marathon kind of challenge just to see what would come out. But that stuff is grueling. So.
Yeah, I've been thinking of doing one, maybe not dailies, because I just couldn't see myself being happy with what I make. In like maybe the first day would be all right, but then like day 5, day 6, it starts going downhill.
Yeah, I did Inktober, and then like halfway through, like I was doing these small sketches just to get the credit, Oh, I drew a square. Okay, I did that for the day. For one of the day's themes was Ghost, right? And I just didn't draw anything. That was my product. I just posted an empty picture of my notebook. So,
it's a photo accurate Ghost.
Yes, I don't have that marathoning ability in me.
I was thinking of doing one that's a bit more tame, more like, I don't know, weeklies or bi-weeklies.
Yeah, do you think that's helpful to like building up your practice, your animation practice?
Well, yeah,
please?
and also then it gives me a chance to possibly have an actual weekend, like a day break at some point, and stagger them so that there's so that I can actually take a break and relax before hitting the next one. And I'm not sure if it's so much about development and becoming really better skilled, because I think what happens is you become more efficient and you also become really good at saving time and just doing only what's necessary. I think you become really good at that, but you don't expand your horizons too much on, like, if you on the 10th attempt, you're probably not expanding your horizons that much. But I think it's brilliant for the kind of social media landscape we live in nowadays.
Sure.
Which really incentivizes and rewards people who are able to do that. I know there's an animator called Telepuerte who I've talked to him like once or twice in one of the Discord groups that I'm in, and he does very regular animations that go out on Twitter and things. And I think he's really benefited from that regular uploading schedule. So there is something to be said with that.
Yeah, I know Telly, and if you talk about a machine, he's a machine. Talk about pumping out animations every day for a year. That's
crazy, absolutely crazy. It was one of those things where it's like, before someone did it, people probably would have just all agreed that's not possible. That's just not something that gets done. But he proved them wrong.
But he did it.
He did it. Yeah, but you've got your method of drop a big bomb once in a while, and that seems to work as well.
Yeah, multiple ways.
And really, you're both diligent in your own in doing your own methods for that.
Yeah, like I said earlier, there's no one way to make it an indie animation. It's like a big forest.
Yeah,
you can carve a path using methods that are particular to your personality and your lifestyle. It just takes a lot of time, for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a thing you have to dedicate yourself to, I suppose. I mean, I think you seem to be really dedicated to your indie animation career, despite also being multi-talented with your programming skills and all the other aspects of your life. It still seems to be a huge focus for you.
It does start with that decision. Like, do I want to make it for myself, or just plotting your career trajectory. It's tricky, and it does start with that intent, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think I've run through all my questions there. So.
All right.
Unless you have anything else you want to say, perhaps we should wrap it up there.
Wrap it up. Yeah. All I want to say is thanks for having me, and it's been a pleasure to finally talk to Howard.
Yeah, I've been waiting.
Voice I've been listening to as podcasts. I'm still trying to work through your course on the Animator Guild.
All right.
I'm 45% through.
Oh yeah.
But it makes for very good listening material while animating. Reminds me of the fundamentals. Something that we all need to remember.
I think you're overqualified for it, but thank you. That's really cool that you're watching through it. I'll have to send you a little. I'll give you a beta link to the new one that I'm working on.
Oh, the new one. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, we're both announcing new things here. Training cards and a new.
I might edit that out. It might be a bit early, but because I'm still working on it. But yeah.
Okay. Something's in the works.
It would be nice to collect a little Gildedguy testimonial for that, I think. Yeah, if you'd be down for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Always down.
All right. Well, awesome. This has been great, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Awesome talk. Thanks.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.